Hey guys, it's Bridget with San Diego Seed Company, and I'm sitting on top of a big pile of compost. It's fitting for me. I'm straight out of compost, baby. I love compost. It's one of the most important things on our farm next to mulch, and it's something that I think is really important for beginning gardeners to know. So I'm gonna go through all the details of what's compost, how do you use it, where can you get it, and debunk some myths that are pretty common about compost. Before I do that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you're notified anytime we put out a video. So this is gonna be totally beginner 101 compost video, okay? So for those of you who are experts, you probably know all this, and that's okay. But I really wanna serve our beginning gardeners and make sure they understand what compost is and why do you use it and how would you maybe not wanna use it. So this is a big pile of compost that we got from a local farm here in Ramona that gives it to us by the truckloads. Compost is one of the most expensive items that we purchase for our farm because we need so much of it, because the soil on our farm is pretty devoid of organic matter, and it's really important for the happiness and the health of the plant. So compost is basically broken down organic matter, and it serves several different purposes. I think the number one thing that is so important about using compost in hot climates is compost holds 2 to 3 times more moisture than regular soil particles. In our region, where it's really hot, it's really dry, and we don't get any rain basically after March, I need to irrigate as responsibly as possible, and part of that is making sure that the water that does go into the ground stays in the ground so that's available to my plants. Compost is one way in which we do that. The other thing that compost does that's a close second is it adds microbiology to the soil. So this compost, even though it looks like a dry, dead matter, it's actually alive and teeming with microbes, beneficial mushrooms, all kinds of life is living in this compost. And when I put this compost into my garden, it inoculates it. And what that means is it puts in a little bit of beneficial microbes that then reproduce like crazy throughout my soil and actually allow me to have healthier, happier plants, which is really important. For those of you who do backyard composting, your compost is probably the best because it's teeming with all kinds of life that then you're gonna put in your garden, which is going to reproduce. Commercially made compost is good, but it tends to be hotter, drier, and more likely to just not have as much or as rich of microbiology because it's hot, it's dry, it's not conducive to organisms living in it. Now we get this delivered, like I said, from a farm. If you're in San Diego, you can actually get free compost from the Miramar Greenery, which is fabulous. It's a city program, it's free to us. Check it out. For those of you who are all over the United States, check with your city or your municipality to see if they offer a free compost program. It's becoming more and more common because people are realizing compost is king, baby. It is what we need to have healthy gardens and healthy farms. So not only does compost help keep stuff out of the landfill by making it into this beautiful garden resource, the other thing that compost is so important to be used for is holding in moisture, keeping the microbes alive, and it does add a very, very small amount of plant nutrients. For those of you who are brand new gardeners, I really want to stress that you cannot replace fertilizer with compost. You want to use it in addition to. So I hear all the time new gardeners who take our Zoom classes or join our Instagram lives, they'll say, will I fertilize with compost? Well, that's really not fertilizing. Yes, it does have very small amounts of nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and all kinds of micronutrients, but it's not enough to have the plant really thrive. So keep that in mind. Compost is like the flour in your cookie, right? You have your flour and it's great, but you need to add the butter, the chocolate chips, all the other good stuff. It is a part of what makes a really healthy soil ecosystem. So if you haven't added compost to your raised beds, to your gardens, to your pots, I highly recommend it in any way that you can. If it's buying a bag, if it's getting a truckload from a local farmer, or making it at home. Really, compost is what is going to make your garden thrive and also be able to live through the weather swings that we're seeing that are way more common. So you guys know I love compost, and it's a part of what makes our garden thrive. It is something that I'm very passionate about because it's a way in which we can keep stuff out of the landfill. We can reuse it in our gardens, make our gardens healthy and happy. And it's just it's a really neat thing that I feel like doesn't get enough 5 minutes of fame. So this was the 5 minutes of fame for compost.